Okay, somebody was asking some question. Say it again, please. Some student was asking some question. Say it again, please. No question. Okay, here you can see. So class C extends A comma B. So we are extending two classes. This is not allowed in Java. We cannot extend two classes and we can separate them with comma. No, this is not allowed. First thing, it is not allowed. So when you will write like this extends A comma B, your compiler will give you the error that you cannot extend two classes. In the topic of inheritance, you cannot extend two classes. You can only extend one class. But here I am saying that if it is allowed, but here I am saying that if it is allowed, then here at this point, obj.msg, your compiler will again go into the confusing state that which method it has to call, because the methods has the same name. But if now the question of innocent is there, somebody is asking what type of error will occur. You can test it by yourself. What I am saying that it is not allowed. When you will type A comma B, then your compiler say that it is not allowed, it is not permitted. Syntactical error like that. And if you want to see that what type of errors, then we will test it in the lab, or you can just check on your laptop exactly what message you will see. Okay, that is one reason. And the other reason, obj.msg, so calling the two methods which have the same name. So your compiler will go into the confusing state. So you will have the compile time error. What is that error? The exact message you can see after having a test on it. You can write it and then you can see that message, and we will see it inshallah. So this issue is just explained here. You can just read it by yourself. And now you can do this practice 12, 13, 14 if you want to do. Otherwise, when we will have the physical class, we will do it after the quiz. We will do it automatically. And then the last topic of this CEO. But I think take a break and then I will continue after 5-10 minutes. Is it okay? Because I need break. I'm just continuously speaking. So maybe in the class I have the time when you are doing something on your laptop, when you normally do something on your laptops. At that time I normally take rest, but in this online mode I am not taking anything. So 5 or 10 minutes break and then I will continue. So I am just pausing this recording. So now we have to look over this topic of aggregation in Java. Aggregation is not the inheritance, but it is something that you can introduce an object of a class and then you can have the access of some other class by using that object of that class. For example, what it means that, have a look over this diagram. We have the class, and then we have the name of the class employee, the starting and ending, and here we have the fields, ID and name, and then we have another field, which is we have another field like address here, which has the data type address. This is not the primitive data type. So this address is basically the name of some other class. So then this address with the small letters, this is an object of some other class, which we are defining here as an object. So now this is an object of another class, which is we are writing in the field part of this imply class. So when you introduce an object of another class into the field part of some class, then we are doing what? Now with this object of address class, we can access the information of that address class. So this is called aggregation. This is not inheritance. We will not use the word extend. We will not use that, but we will use the object of the class. You will see the details in the next program when we will see. So now the definition of aggregation is, if a class has an entity reference, if a class has an object in the field, in its field, when we have the object, then that is called aggregation. And we can represent aggregation theoretically with the word has a, So aggregation has a aggregation is a type of has a relationship. So in this employee class, we have this ID and name as proper field of this class. But if we have an object of some other class as a field of this employee class, then this is what we are doing. We are doing the concept of aggregation. And why we use this aggregation? Again, when we have the object of this class address in the employee class, then by using that object address, we can access the information of that address class. So the use of aggregation is, we want to reuse the methods and fields of some class. Here we have the address in some other class. So let's have a look over the example of simple. This is the simple example of aggregation. And this diagram is saying that if we have the class circle, and if the field of that class is pi, which has the double data type, and if this circle class has a method area, and if we have another field in this circle class which is OP, and the data type of this OP is operation, which is the name of some other class. It is written here, this operation class. And this operation class has some other method square, and we are passing some integer n as a parameter into it. And when we are calling this method of operation class in the circle class, like here int radius, we can call this square method here in some other class. So this is something we are doing aggregation. How we can do that? Let's have a look on this example on the right hand side. This is the diagram. So here we have a class and the name of the class is operation. This is the starting and this is the ending. And then we have another class circle, starting, and this is the ending. And we are not using the word extends here. We are not making this circle a child class of this operation class. No. And then we have, sorry, this is not the end of circle class. Circle class is maybe ending here. And then we have the main method. And then we are creating an object and using that object to calculate the area of the circle. So this program is the program for calculating the area of a circle by using the concept of aggregation. So now have a detailed look into it. So class operation has a method square, and we are passing some integer n as a parameter into it, and this function square can return some data type integer. Starting bracket of this method, ending bracket, and we are multiplying this n, which is going on as a parameter into it. We are multiplying this n with itself, and it will give us square, and the final value we will return through this method. Where this value will be returned? The position where we will call this method, there we will get this value. And then here we have a class circle. This is the starting, and this is the area method, and this is the end of the class. This is the end of the class. And in this circle, we are introducing a variable OP, which has the type operation, and this operation is this class. So this is an object. And then we have a normal variable, and then we have a normal variable pi. The value of this pi is 3.14. It has the double data type. After that, we have some method area. It is taking some parameter as an integer, and the name of this variable is radius, and this area can return some double value. Okay, so this is the starting bracket, and here we are creating an object. Here we are creating an object. So the left hand side of this statement is simply OP, and OP is what? Has a data type operation, and then equal to new operation. This is the call to the default constructor of the operation class, and this is the operation class. We don't have the default constructor in it. If we don't have, then we know that the compiler will automatically create this default constructor for us. So this statement is creating an object, simply OP. So this statement is creating an object OP. Through this OP, we can access the information available in this operation class. We can access this square method. We have only one method available in this operation class, which is square, and we can call that square method by using this object OP. So OP dot square, and then we can access. And then the next statement is int r square is equal to OP dot square. Here we are calling, and then we are passing radius into it. So OP dot square, this radius, first we are passing it as a parameter into it. This is a variable, and this radius is going on here as a parameter into this square method. So OP dot square. So OP is what? OP is an object of this operation class. And we are calling the square method with this one. We are calling it. I can clear it first so that you can understand. So, sorry. So OP dot square. So OP is the object of this operation class, and we are calling this square method, and we are passing this radius into it. And radius is what? This one. So this square method will be called, and this radius will be copied into n. Whatever the value of the radius, that will be copied into n. This value will be multiplied by itself. For example, if the value of the radius is 2, then 2 multiplied by 2, it will return 4. It will return 4 here. It will return 4 here. And that 4 will go into this variable r square. That value will go into this r square. And then we are just multiplying this r square with the value of pi. Then the value of pi is 3.14. So 4 multiplied by 3.14, we will get some value that will be returned by this area method. And after that, we have the main method. And here we are creating again the object for the circle class, and the object name is C. And then after that, in the next statement, we are calling C dot area. We are calling C dot area, and we are passing C dot area. So C dot area. So C has the class circle. So I will go into the circle, and it is calling the area method into it. And we have the area here. And this 5 will go here into the radius variable. So 5 will be passed into this radius variable, and then we are calling OP dot square with this value. The value of variable is, I can erase it. So here I can just wait. So this 5 will go into this radius, and then this 5 will go here into the square. I will call this square method. 5 will be copied into this n. 5 multiplied by 5, it will be returned here, 25. That 25 will be copied here into this r square. Then you have to multiply the 25 with the value of pi, 3.14, and then you have something value 78 point something. That 78 point something will go into this result variable, which will be printed, and we can see the output here as a 78.5. So here, now in this example, you can see that we are not applying the concept of inheritance. We are not applying. We don't have the extends keywords anywhere, but we are using only the object of the class. But we are using only the object of the class to access the information. So this is the circle class, and in this circle class, we are using the object of this operation class. And through that object, we are accessing the information of this operation class. We are reusing the information of that operation class. So this is called aggregation. Is it clear? Just give me your reply. Is it clear now? The aggregation concept. So now aggregation is what? if a class has an entity reference, what is the meaning of entity reference? Object as a field. If a class has an object as a field, then this is known as aggregation. And here in this class circle, we have this object OP of another class. And this is called aggregation. Hamza is saying that here, if we end one entity is will affect the other entity. I didn't understand your question here. We end one entity, will it affect the other entity? Just rephrase your answer, rephrase your question, because I'm not understanding what you want to ask. Here we end one entity. Are you saying that if I will remove this class, then I cannot access? So I'm not understanding actually. Can you redo or rephrase your question? Will it affect the other entity?
Yeah, Doctor, can you hear me?
Yeah. Just say your math.
I remember when we talked about the aggregation in first chapter. You said that an aggregation of one entity end does not affect on the other entity. But I'm not sure if that apply here or what. I'm just asking.
In I have said something in the first chapter. Are you saying that?
Yeah, when we talked about the aggregation,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
mentioned in the chapter one.
And what was that? If we end one entity, that will not affect the other entity. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I have to look over the definition of that one. Just wait. We can open the slides. I think maybe your question is a little bit interesting, but first we have to see it. I'm now getting your point, what you want to say. So this is what we studied there. In aggregation, both the entries can survive individually, which means ending one entity will not affect the other entity. Institute, department, student are like that. According to physical existence, it's okay. Your answer is perfect. As your question is okay. For example, if we will remove the student, then the department will have its existence. It will not be finished. So if your question is with respect to this one, yes, you are saying the right thing. But here, just wait. Now we have the two classes, operation and circle. But this is programming. And if you are saying that this operation is one entity and this circle is another entity, and if we will remove this operation from our program, and then it will not affect this program, this is not true here. If you will remove this class from here, it will definitely affect your program. But with respect to real world, it is okay. When you remove one entity or entry or unit, the other unit normally exists. Is it clear now?
Yeah, it's okay, but so both consider as aggregation.
Yes, if I ask you to give me an example of aggregation with respect to real world, then you can give me that example of department and student and university like that. If I were asked you to give me the example of aggregation using syntax of Java or using yes, using syntax of Java, then this program is the example, and in this example you cannot say the things like that. Uh, but your question is good. So now the next slide is uh, about the use of aggregation, when we use aggregation. So aggregation is again for reusing the information of some class, like inheritance. What is the use of inheritance? Reusability. And what is the use of aggregation? Reusability. So the now here the question is when we have to use the aggregation and when we have to use the inheritance. So this is something mentioned here, and you can read this first point, that code reuse is best achieved by aggregation when there is no is a relationship. So if you don't have the option of inheritance, and if you want to reuse the code of some class, then this is the situation where you have to use the aggregation. This is the answer of this question. And now we have another example of aggregation. And in this example, employee has an object address of this address class, which contains its own information such as city, current city. So let's have a look. So this is the address class, public class address, and starting bracket and ending bracket. And here we have some fields, city, state, and country as string. And then we have some constructor, or we are passing some arguments into this constructor, the city, the state, and the country. And this city, state, and country will these values first the parameter values of the city, state, and string will be copied here on this right hand side, and then these right hand side values will be copied into the city, state, and country of this address class, these fields. And you know what is DHIS, what is the use of this keyword, this, you know that. And now come here on this program, leave this first statement package loop and just come here. Class, the name of the class is emp. This is the starting, and this is the end. I can introduce the pen here. So this is the end. And in this emp class, we have this ID, name, and address as the fields. So now you can see this field address. This is an object. ID and name. ID is integer, name is string, but this variable address, the blue one, it is an object. It has the type address, which is this class. Then we have the constructor. For this class emp, we are passing this ID, name, and address into it. And then we are assigning this ID, name, and address into ID, name, and address, or which are the fields. Which are the fields of this class, this one. Then we have the display method, no any parameter, starting and ending. And with the first println statement, we are simply printing the value of ID and the space name. This ID and name are the fields. And then in the second println statement, we have the address object, and through that address object, we can access this information, city, state, and country. And here we are using address.city. This address is an object. This address is an object. And through that object, we can access the fields of this class. And here, if the values are there in those fields, then here we are displaying those values: address.city, address.state, and address.country, city, state, and country. And now you will see the effect of these things. This is the main method. And here we are creating an object for the address class with name address1, with name as address1, new address, and we are passing value Sargodha, which is the name of city in Pakistan, Punjab.